Welcome to part 3. If you were successful, you've gotten your body assembly put together, and we're waiting to see what we're going to do with that next. But the next thing we're going to do is build your head module assembly. And so we're going to start on page 8 for that one. And as we build our head module assembly, we are going to be using parts from A4, and we are also going to be using P2, which is our solar panel. You're going to need your little sponge pieces this time. We're going to need this piece, and we're going to need this piece, and we're going to use those two things. And again, when we get finished, this is what it should look like at the top, okay? So the first thing that we're going to do is start with our major part of the assembly, and that is we're going to start with part C3. And so if you'll pick up your C grid and look at your numbering, which I can't do okay, yeah. So there it says C3 is right there. I've got mine upside down, and we're going to use that. And it looks like we're going to build a bunch of parts into that. Again, remember that you're trying to keep those tabs that you're cutting off as close to the edges of your parts as you can. It also says we're going to need C8. There's 2 of them, and so we're going to cut those out. And on this set of instructions, you'll start seeing some things that are pointing towards your assembly that are in little circles. Okay, they're labeled in little circles. So you'll see one when we move to A4, which I guess we could have done before we did this big part. But you'll see these little circles. They say 1 and 2, and those are going to correspond to the stickers on our sticker page, and everything there is labeled as well. I had it turned to the right side the first time. Okay. So let's get this part put together, and then we'll go back and take care of this as we do the more complicated part. Okay, so we're going to start with this piece, and if we line it up the way it is in the book, we're going to line it up so that we can see these 2 crosses or plus signs at the front, and we're just going to pop those little black caps over the top of those pieces. I think these are our eyes, and we're looking for pieces that are labeled 6. And so if we look at our sticker page, I think these, y'all, this is so funny. I think these things are labeled incorrectly. If you look at these long pieces, they're labeled as 6. And if you look at these pieces, they're labeled as 9. And that clearly is not going to fit into those little tabs. So I think these little stickers are the ones that we need to go there. And I guess it really doesn't matter what direction you put them in. I'm going to try to do mine north, south, east, and west. Okay. And probably it doesn't matter if you didn't want to put them on at all. You probably didn't have to, but it's all about the aesthetics, right? Got to make this thing look good if we're going to use it. So I'm going to put another one in there. North, south, east, west. Okay. So I've got those 2 pieces on there. And then I'm going to take my 2 little sponge pieces, that should pop apart. We're going to peel the backs off of those, and those are going on these segmented pieces here. And then we're going to pull the top off of them too, because we're going to set our solar panel there. So got that one taken apart. Here's the second one. Got it in place. So I've got that apart as well. And I'm going to be ready in the next step to take my solar panel. Here it is. Put my solar panel on the, another, I don't know if you do, I've got another little one of those little white gears. I don't know if we're going to need that for something else or not, if it was just an extra. You should have a film over your solar panel. When you peel that film off, try not to put your fingers on the surface of your solar panel. That smudging in the oil on your fingers will keep you from getting optimal energy absorption. So we're going to peel that off. And you've got two springs that are attached to your solar panel. And if you're looking at your assembly correctly, the two springs are going to fit into the slots here. And so I'm actually just going to put those in first before I lay my solar panel down and stick it to my assembly. Okay. So I've got those in there and placed. And I put my finger on my solar panel. So luckily I am a person who wears glasses and cleans them all the time. So I'm just going to polish that up a little bit since I put my fingers on it. Okay, and so that part of our assembly is done. So let's just go up and get this one done too before we turn the page. And we are looking for A4. So that's going to be the blue, one of the blue grids. This is A4. Again, I turn this upside down every time I show it to you. I think what we're doing with this one is putting some racing stripes on it. You've got 4 tabs to cut to get this one. This one's a little bit harder to do because it's hard to get your cutters in there exactly flush. I'm going to check and make sure I don't have any. I do. I have some pieces that are, let's see if I can't smooth that down a little bit. I don't have an emery board or a nail file. I probably could find one if I looked for it, but this will work just as well. Okay. Got a little bit of a rough spot there. I'm going to kind of trim at that one a little bit too. Okay. All right, that's better. Okay. So this one, I guess we're going to put our racing stripes on. We're going to use 1 and 2. That's these 2 places. If I've got this set the correct way, I'm going to put 1 on the side that is closest to me, which makes sense. It actually has to fit the piece that you're putting it on. So that's pretty self-explanatory. Hopefully we're going to get to the point where we can actually talk about what's happening with our robot once we get it built. Right now we're just in assembly mode, so it's kind of hard to talk about the, I don't like that. I'll leave it on for you all though, but I don't think that looks very good. I think I'd be happier without the racing stripes. Also, I think you have to have a pretty good set of fingernails. See, I've already torn that one. These are not coming off very well. Yep, I've already torn mine. Well, we'll see what it looks like, and then I can go back and take them off if I don't like them, right? It's my robot. I'll do what I want to with it. Your robot, you can do the same thing. Okay, that doesn't look very good, but we'll leave it there. All right, so let's turn to page 9. Let me get a drink of Diet Coke again. All right, we are going to, we're going to pop this top piece down on top of our bottom of our solar assembly. And it's, I think, pretty easy to see what goes where because those rounded pieces are going to fit over our springs. And it does, it just pops down on there pretty nicely. And you, because you've got those springs there, I think we've got a little bit of give. And I think that's probably intentional, but if it's not, we will figure out why. Okay. Huh. Maybe it'll snap down, maybe it won't. I think we're going to put some other pieces on there to get it to fit together. All right. So in our next section, we are going to need an A3 and a B11 and an A3 and a B10. Okay, so we want to make sure we've got this turned the way the picture is set so that we get things in the right spot. Okay, A3 is on your A grid. We haven't cut those apart yet. Again, those are like caps. And those are going to go here and there. And that's what's going to keep that assembly together. Okay, so again, try to keep your fingers off of the solar panel if you can. If not, then you'll want to go back and clean your solar panel at some point. And that's a little bit tougher to get on. Let's work on that a little bit more. But that should hold our two pieces together really well. Okay, yeah, so those are on there. You know what? I just don't like those stickers at all. I'm sorry. Those are coming off of my robot. I don't want them there. If you want to keep them on yours, you can. I just don't like the way that looks. I like the robot without the stickers better, which means I may go off and take them off of that other piece that I had them on. We'll see. Yeah, I like that better. Okay, so we've got that piece, and then we want to go back and we're going to put our plus and our minus signs on there. Okay, and so those should be on, I think those are on our B, which is this one, and those should be the last two pieces on that one that we need to cut out, and then we can get rid of this one too. I'm sure that those caps are designed to tell us where the flow of electricity is. And so we'll put those where they are asked to go. B10, which is the positive, is going on this clip, and it snaps right on there really well. And then B11 is going to go on the other one. All right. So we've got those pieces put together. Okay. Now, if you want to, you can go in and find another couple of things that are labeled A9 and put those on your bigger caps. Again, I'm just going to leave those alone. Okay. So here's the next thing that you know, we get these kits and I think we're going to have an all-in-one. Nowhere when I got these kits did it say to me that I needed an AAA battery, at least nowhere that I noticed. It may have been somewhere in the tiny little spots, but there's a picture on the box that says option B, battery mode, and I didn't see that when I sent these to you. So if you don't have a AAA battery, I think you'll be okay without it. You'll only be able to run with solar power. But if you have a AAA battery that you can tuck in there, you have one handy, that'll be good. Okay. I'll put a note out for you when I send out the links to all of these videos that you'll need a AAA battery, and we failed to include it. So I apologize for that, and hopefully you'll forgive me. Okay, so we are next going to work on our head module assembly with our battery module. Okay, and so we are going to start with our next set of parts. And let me check something. We've taken oh no, we've got one more piece on our C grid, so I'll leave it there. And we've got 2 more pieces on our A grid. Maybe we'll get to those during this assembly. But I think what we want now is to start putting together what I'm calling the face of our robot. And so we'll pull it out of its bag. Now these stickers I do like. You've got a couple of connectors in there so that you can put those in to connect your battery leads in the right spot. I'm going to go ahead and put those eyes on because I do like them. Okay. So they are going to go right there. Let's see if I can get them on there so that they're lined up correctly. Don't have any overlap anywhere. Okay. So now I've got a set of eyes on my robot, and that's okay. I don't mind that at all. Okay, so if you look at this on the bottom side, you have some space to put that AAA battery. Okay, but we want to have connectors. We've got to have some metal to make that AAA battery run. And so we've got to put these leads in the correct spot. So when you look at this, we've got our face here, and we're going to also need this part when we get ready. So let's just go ahead and cut it out. Let's see. There's another connector. And there's another connector. And there's the last one. And then if you'll also look, do you see those end caps? So we're going to need those too. They look like D's. Okay. And then we're not going to need that plastic piece anymore. I've got one little tab there that I need to cut off. Okay. So I've got those 2 pieces. I've got my contacts that we have to figure out where we want those to go, and how we want to set those in there. Okay. And of course, the picture on that is not really all that clear. So we're going to have to look at that pretty closely. Okay. So when when we get ready to put our battery in, we have this set up. Make sure I've got it set. Yeah. Okay. So if you've got it turned this way, you want the positive end of your battery, which is always the end that has the little knob on it, to go in on that side. And you want the negative end on the right side. Okay. And so you've got these little tabs or these little pieces that need to go in there as well, right? So when you look at how a battery fits into a battery casing, you'll always notice that there's a spring for you to pop that, not always, but most of the time, there's a spring for you to pop that battery in there so that you can have that connection. Okay. So that little metal piece, there's a little slot there, and that little metal piece will just slide right down in there. And then just take that metal tab and fold it down over so that it sits in the spot that it needs to sit. Okay. And then you want to be able to make a connection with your other side. And so that is going to slide in on the other end. And so if we put the battery down in there and we want to make a connection, then we want to put this in on the other end. You want to put it so that the concave part is facing the battery. Okay. Try to put it in the other direction, won't get nearly as much contact, and it'll be much harder to get that battery in. And it would be a lot easier if I would just take the battery out, but this way I can be sure that I've got connections. Okay, apparently I'm going to have to take it out. And if you get it in and it doesn't fit really well, which this doesn't seem to be, it looks like it does want me to turn it the opposite direction. You can take it back out. Okay, so we can put that. Did you see my little spring pop out? Can put that battery in there and we'll be ready to slide that battery in, pop that battery in. Okay. All right, it's down in there. And this is where your little caps are going to go. So we're just going to take those little caps and set them down in over that. Because if we don't, they are not going to stay. All right. So when you look at this, it looks like we need to go ahead and attach our leads to that battery. And I want to figure out the best way to do that. So I'm going to hit pause for just a second and we will come back. I'll come back in just a second. All right, I had to look at things for a few minutes before I could go any farther. So we're still good with our head module assembly for our solar, except for one thing, and that is that I put the wrong stickers, I think, on the two little eyes, and I don't like them because these were supposed to go on these sides. And I told you I didn't like those anyway, so I'm just going to take them off. Maybe I'll put some googly eyes on my robot instead of the stickers. So you guys, I figured it out. I wasn't looking in the right spot. Here we go. I don't need any googly eyes. Right there in the very center, see those two that look like they're lights? Those are what are supposed to go right here. So let's just take a second and I'll put those on there. If you've already put other things on yours and you don't want to peel them off, that's fine. Maybe these will look better than those other pieces did. Oh yeah, that looks more like an eye, doesn't it? Okay, let's get that other one off. Okay, so we've got that part. Then we're going to come back over here and we're going to finish our head module assembly. Okay, so when you get your battery into this piece, if you'll push really hard down on those metals clips, you can get them seated against your battery case, and they won't pop out of there. Okay. So then when you're finished with that, what we're going to do is we're going to take this piece, and this piece is going to go on top of, where is the picture? Here it is, this one. It's going to go on top of your battery case. Okay, so I've got my case turned so that it is positive on this side, negative on this side, and then this is going to pop in on top of it. Okay, so this was our last big piece out of um, whichever of those blue grids, maybe the B, I don't know. But we're going to take that, and that's going to slide down. That's going to slide down over our battery. Okay. Now you've got these two side caps, and once you get those batteries in there, where's my other side cap? There it is. Once you get those batteries in there, and it's not a big deal if you don't do it now because these pieces pop apart, but we're going to put that D-shaped cap on our battery case to keep those apart, or keep those together, not apart. Okay, so if you'll look in here at the bottom, you've got these two little slots that are open, and that's a place for you to put your leads, insert your leads so that they contact with the battery to give you battery power if you want it. Okay, I'm going to do something right now that you don't have to do, but I'm going to do it just because it'll help me remember what I want to happen in these places. And if you look in your little box on the positive end, you want to put your red lead. And so I'm going to write myself an R there so that I remember that. And on the negative end, I'm going to put my black lead. I'm sorry, I had that over where you couldn't see it, right? I'm going to put R on the end with my positive end of my battery, and I'm going to put black on the opposite end. And I'll tell you why I do that. I've been teaching electrochemistry for years, and you'd think that I would be smarter about what goes where, and I forget every time. Every time I teach electrochemistry, I have to figure out what I need to do to put things back together. Okay, so now what we have is we have a battery piece if we need it, and we've got our solar panel, and both of those things are going to be able to connect to our body assembly, our gearbox. And so the next thing that we want to do is fix our battery mode so that we can put it on our assembly if we need to. And then we want to assemble our things to our gearbox. Okay, so for our battery operated, you're going to want to get your solar panel box, and we're going to, I put that I in the wrong spot, y'all. Yeah, I'll fix with that later. Okay, you're going to want to get your last piece off of C, and this is C9, and that's going to let us do some swiveling. Make sure you don't cut it too far. I'm going to leave those two arms on that little clip. Okay, that's this. And then we want the two pieces A6. And so we're now finished with our C piece of plastic. And we want to get our pieces 5 and 6 off of our blue grid. And then we're finished with this one as well. Okay. All right. Okay. So we're going to put these two pieces, attach our gearbox to our, attach our solar panel to our assembly, our little clip that we're going to clip in. And we are going to add these so that we're lined up the correct way. Okay, so they're only going to fit on here one way that makes sense. The holes are going to need to be on the inside, and the outer side is going to have your what looks like your little bars and your fancy pieces. Okay, so if I'm going to go in on this and attach here, I'm starting with A6, I guess. I want my little honeycomb looking part to fit right here so that it is pointing at there. And you'll have to slide it on a little bit. It probably pops on there, and I just don't have enough hand strength to get it on there. Let's see what happens here. Okay, I just had to work at it a little bit. Then we're going to do the same thing with our other side. And what we're really doing here is making the neck of our robot. Okay. So again, let me push down on that pretty tightly. Give myself a little bit of a hammer that I just created. Okay. And those two pieces should snap together if you get them on there the right way. And of course, you'll notice that mine is not. And so we know for sure that this is usually what happens to me. Now, those two pieces are in there, but we also have to have this piece in. So I've gotten that piece on there. I'm going to pull it apart just a little bit so that I can get that black clip in, and then I'm ready to squeeze everything together. Okay. So now I've got an arm or a neck that will pivot. Okay. And so this is almost ready to go on our body, I guess, our gears assembly, and we'll attach that on there. And then we'll also check our battery, and we're going to do that in our next video. Okay, so now at this point, you've got these three pieces, and we're ready to start checking to make sure that everything works, and also checking to make sure that we've got the power that we need. Okay, so I will see you in our next video.